Hey guys, it's CMAC here. Today we're going to talk about application deployment using Elastic Beanstalk. I use it all the time. It's an awesome service. Let's say you build an application. In this example, we're going to build a Springboot application using Java, and then we're going to deploy it to AWS Beanstalk. Beanstalk is an application management service, basically where you can create your application and tell AWS, hey, I want to build a Node.js application, I want to build a Java application or Ruby application, and then AWS automatically provisions all the underlying technology, basically pre-baked environment where you can deploy your application. The good thing about Beanstalk is it gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of auto-scaling, security, connecting it to database. You can definitely connect to database in Beanstalk. However, I'm going to recommend you create the database separately and then create your Beanstalk environment, because if you delete your Beanstalk environment, you're going to lose your database. Everything starts with application, right? So the first thing, the top layer is application. So underneath, you have environment. So AWS Beanstalk starts with application, as I said, and then goes to environment. So let's say you have three environments, right? One of them is test and dev, and one of them is production. Let's keep it simple. So what you can do with Beanstalk, you can deploy your application to the first environment, which is, let's say, your test and dev, right? You test the application, you make sure it works, properly, and then you create another environment under the same application. So application on top, underneath you have different environments. So you deploy it first to dev and test. You test it, works perfectly, and then you swap the environment to production. So your application immediately goes live. So you have a lot of control in terms of what goes to production and how to deploy it. You can have different versions. If something goes wrong, you have version and you can easily roll back to the working version. So I'm going to walk you through all this stuff. So we're going to build a Springboot application and deploy it to Elastic Beanstalk. So all we need is just an AWS account and a Springboot application. I'm going to use a test application, very easy one for the purpose of this training. It's going to be a quick hands-on experience. You guys learn everything about Beanstalk. I use it all the time. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, guys, we're back here. We're going to start with creating a Springboot application, and then we're going to deploy this application to Elastic Beanstalk. I'm going to start by going to startthespring.io, and I'm going to create a Maven project, Java 2.1.4. I'm going to name this com.cmac.youtube, just a name, and I'm going to just name this Elastic Beanstalk, EBS. Perfect. So I'm going to just ask for web development, dev tools, and I think this is it. For now, this is all we need. Let's get actuator as well. All right, no security. Let's create the project. Once we create the project, we're going to go ahead and right click and extract this project. All right, awesome. Once we extracted this project, we're going to go to, we're going to just put it here. And we go back to our Spring Boot. I'm using Spring Tool Suite, STS. You can use Eclipse as well, or any other tool that you're using for Spring Boot application development. All right, so now we go import existing Maven project, since our build management system is Maven. And then we're going to go to the same folder and hopefully import our project. All right, EBS, and okay. So it finds one project. I'm going to say finish and wait for the project to appear here. So as you can see, it's still creating 98%. Now, perfect. Looks like our project is ready. So I'm going to actually change a few things here to make it really easy for us to just follow through. And this is, again, it's just an example for our application, because we just want to have an application so we can deploy it to Beanstalk and take a look at Beanstalk functions. All right, I'm going to change this to Word deployment, and I'm just going to go ahead, as you know, in Spring Boot application, this is your entry point in the application. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create, I'm not going to create a new package. So I'm just going to create a controller here. So now we've created a very simple Spring Boot application. It's a REST controller. We just need an application so we can deploy it to Beanstalk. Let's run this application, see if it works. I'm going to run it as Spring Boot. All right, so far so good. Perfect. It says application is running on port 8080, as you can see. All right, so if I go back to my application here and I do localhost, and let's say I do 8080, and perfect, this is what I want to see because it goes to the root page, and I'm going to just call the welcome page in my controller because I already mapped this welcome get mapping to send us just string message to the browser. All right, so our application is ready here. I need to create a Maven, basically deployment, war deployment, so I can go ahead and start my process. We need to include our JDK folder path in here. Let's see if we can include it here. I'm gonna check it here. So let's again right click on the project and run Maven install. All right, we're still having trouble here. So what I'm going to do again, let's actually go to Palm XML, and what I'm going to do here, I'm going to actually add my path to JDK manually to this application. All right, I added the path to JDK. Again, now I'm building the project with command mvn space package. All right, it says build success. Now we go back to target folder. There is a file, it says EBS, and this is the version 001 snapshot.org. This is the file that I can actually deploy to my AWS Beanstalk environment. Now I'm going to go back to my AWS account. So in Elastic Beanstalk environment, as you can see, I don't have any application in this new environment. All right, we're going to start an application, building an application. I'm going to name it my EBS test, and I'm going to create this environment. All right, as you recall, I said everything starts with application, and then underneath we have environment. So create one new environment here, and this environment is going to be basically a web server environment. And then here we have, all right, test, EBS test, or maybe my EBS test. I do have an application that I just created for my Spring Boot, and it's called EBS Snapshot War. And I'm going to upload this application. All right, the upload is finished. Now, if I create an environment, the environment is going to fail because we need to configure a few things. One of them is your basically key that you're going to use to, for the instances. And the other one is your VPC settings. So I'm going to go to configure more options. And of course, our platform is going to be Java. As you can see, you can deploy a lot of different, applications, Docker, multi-container Docker, Go, .NET, Java, Ruby, Python, Tomcat, a lot of different things. But in this instance, we're using, of course, Java because we're building a Spring Boot application. All right. So if you go to more options, you're going to see, the type of instance that you're about to use. Capacity is single. You can definitely change it to have a load balancer and basically make it more reliable and scalable, your application. Some environment variables here, load balancer, rolling updates if you want to update all the application at once, or no, you want to do it in the different steps. That's a place you can do that. So we're going to change the security settings, which one of them is basically the keeper that we're going to use, and the Second one is actually network. So two things need to change here. One is security, one is network. So if I go to modify, I need to change my VPC setting to my VPC that I'm about to launch my application, and then security. So for security reason, I'm going to pause this video here. So remember, two things need to change here. One is network, one is security. So I don't want to share my keys. I'm going to pause this video here and then change them and click create environment. All right, guys, I clicked on create environment. As you can see, now it's running. Again, I'm going back to my point. Application is the highest level, and then underneath you have different environments. So right now it says, creating the environment, and then creating security. It's given it EIP, Elastic IP address. Environment is impending. So this is going to take some time. I'm going to pause this video here. And when it's done, we'll continue. All right, guys, Elastic Beanstalk just finished the setup. As you can see, now I have an environment. I have an application. Again, we start with application. Underneath, we have environment. We can have many different environments for our application. So in our dashboard, as you can see, I'm running my EBS test source code, and then I'm running Java environment, and the health is okay. And if I take a look at the configuration, again, these are the things that we just configured. Nothing in health you have an okay. In monitoring, so we basically, after a while you will see some data here. It's a CPU utilization since we just started this instance. It's going to take a while to populate this data. You can set up alarms, you can manage the updates, you can look at the events, you can manage the tags. So what I'm trying to show you here, this is the environment. It's basically you can manage your application. It's application management service, Elastic Beanstalk. Remember, when I created the environment, I configured two things. One of them was VPC, which underneath I selected the public subnet. Because public subnet does have a route to internet, and the second one was my key name, which I paused for security reasons. All right, so now if I go to my application and click on this address, we'll see a bad gateway, and the reason for that is because my application is running on port 8080. So what I need to do, as you see, if it failed here, I need to go back to my security settings and basically add that security to my port 8080 to my security group. All right, guys, this is the security group, as you can see, and its inbound traffic is working on port 22. This is basically for SSH to your instance, and this is port 80, which is a normal HTTP request. So I'm going to use this custom for now, 8080, and I'm going to accept traffic from anywhere. Again, this is a test purpose. Later, of course, we can map this 8080 to just run our application on port 80. So let's go back, and now as you can see, if you run this application on port 8080, as you can see, now we're getting response, and of course it's going to go /welcome. We do have our /welcome, as you remember, in our application. We configured /welcome. Let me show you again. /welcome to send basically this string message, and now it's happening. As soon as I added the port 8080 to my security group, AWS now it allows any traffic to come inside and outside on port 8080. And now my application has been deployed to my AWS Beanstalk environment successfully. So what I want to tell you guys, so in your Route 53 settings, all you need to do just to create a hosted zone and map your IP address in Route 53 to Elastic Beanstalk, application. This is very simple. Let me know if you have questions regarding that, because it's so simple. I'm just not going to go through those settings. We're going to focus only on, of course, Beanstalk here. All right, so let's go back. So again, as I said, we have an application underneath, we have an environment. So if you look at application version, and let's say your development team, they build different applications and they upload to your Beanstalk, right? You're going to have a list of different versions here. And at any time, if you find a bug or problem or you want to roll back, all you need to do is just to select this basically source code that you know for sure it's going to work, and deploy it. And when you hit deploy, now I'm going to show you, I'm going to create a production environment. It's basically asking me to select the environment that I want to deploy to. I can say deploy this to production because, you know, I want to roll back the service. So I also can save my configuration so that I don't have to reconfigure everything, you know, every single time. So let's go back to environment. This is my test environment. Now I'm going to do my EBS dev basically environment. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to go and clone this environment, right? Take a look. I'm going to clone this environment and name this environment exactly. And I'm going to name this my EBS dev-env. All right, so we want to check it's available. Yes, it is available. Same thing, I want to keep it the same and let Elastic Beanstalk to create my second environment. So Elastic Beanstalk, what's going to happen now if I go back to my application? So my application now, I got two basically environment. One of them is my EBS test environment, env. This is going to be my production. Forgive me for the bad naming, but as you can see now, we have test environment and our production environment is getting ready. So in our production environment, we're going to wait a little bit, maybe a minute or two, and then we're going to have two environment. One of them is test and one of them is dev. And I'm going to show you how to do blue-green deployment, basically move your code from test and dev, test environment, basically to production. All right, guys, it took 2-3 minutes to get the new environment to you know, status okay. So now I have two environments, as you can see. Test environment, and the other one is environment on, of course, production. Let's confirm that. And the production again needs the same configuration as well as security. So I'm going to go ahead and set the security settings. All right, let's see if it works. Perfect. And this is my production environment. All right, so now I have two environments. One of them is my production, which is up and running. And of course, the other one is my test environment. Let's confirm that that one is working as well. So if you remember that we're going to do on 8080, and this is my test environment. Perfect. So my test environment, it says welcome to my web app, and my production says the same thing. All right, now let's go back to our application. Our team comes back with a new version, and it says welcome to my web app, and I'm gonna say this is the new version of our app. All right, so I added a message so we can basically track and see if things work the way we anticipated. All right, so I'm gonna redeploy the app, recreate the app, and then we're gonna see if, all right, we'll wait for that. We'll wait for that, and then Springboot is gonna recreate an application because we're gonna now basically deploy this to our test environment and then test the application. If you're happy with it, then we're gonna move it to production. We're not just gonna directly deploy it to our environment. As you can see, the timestamp right now is 8:29 p.m., which is the timestamp that I'm recording. All right, I'm happy with this configuration. I'm ready to go ahead and upload this application to my Elastic Beanstalk test environment, remember. So I go to upload, and this is my test environment, and then I go to my basically Spring Boot folder, and then I go to EBS and EBS targets, and then I select the application and I say, all right, deploy it. You can version it, you can change it so you know if you want to change it back, so you know what version you're working with. As you can see right now, Beanstalk is deploying the new application to my environment. So once this one is done, so I'm expecting to see the new message on my test environment only. My basically production environment should stay the same. As you can see,
Beanstalk is going through some configuration and it's going to deploy the latest version to my environment, which shows us the new message. All right, let's see if that happens. If this takes longer than a few seconds, I'm just going to stop this video and then start it again as soon as it's done. All right, no, it didn't take that long. As you can see, now our environment is healthy. We're going to go ahead and check our application. So this is our production, which stays the same, and it did stay the same. Now we're going to refresh our test environment. Our test environment, it's now serving our new application. Perfect. So now we're gonna I'm gonna show you how to basically do blue-green deployment. But let's say before we do blue-green deployment, let's say in our test environment something goes wrong. I basically made a mistake and I want to go back. So how do I do that? So what you can do in that case, you click on your application, and as you can see, it says application versions. So if you look at the timestamp, so we have basically 8:13 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. I deployed two different versions. As you can see, I can just go ahead and select the application and I say, oh, sorry, this was a bad version. I'm going to deploy it again back to, and then now Elastic Beanstalk is asking me what environment I want to deploy it to. So if something goes wrong, you can always go back. You can come to applications versions and select the application and just deploy it to the application, to the environment that you just deployed. So let's go back to our environment. So again, I showed you that our application in production stayed the same. Our application and our test now has changed to the new version. Now let's see. Let's say we are happy. Our team is happy. You're as a manager or code review team. Everything has been approved, and then now we're going to go ahead and move our code, ship the code from the test environment to the production, which is the left environment. All right. How do we do that? So we go here. All right. So what we can do, we can actually click on the action, and we say swap URL environment URLs. So basically, in real life example, what's happening here, we're going to say swap this with my production environment, right? Whatever your application name is, it says, we say, okay, now we're ready to do blue-green deployment. Now our old new environment, which has the all the new changes, it's going to go to the green environment. On production, it's going to be our blue environment, which is our real environment. So we're going to select the swap environment, and we're going to say, okay, now we're ready to swap our test to production. Let's see how this goes. So now we're swapping our test environment with our dev environment. That happened so fast. So let's refresh the application. Perfect. Now my test environment, it's pointing to my old version, and now I should see all the new changes in my production environment, which that's the case. So you saw how easy I can basically roll out all the new features to my application without having the downtime in application. This is very nice and neat. I just showed you how to deploy your Springboot application to Elastic Beanstalk. We deployed them to test and dev environment, and then we did blue-green deployment, which was basically swapping the dev and test URLs. Basically, they go live immediately.
Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed it. In this video, we learned how to work with Beanstalk. Practice all the things that I showed you. Start with a very simple application, deploy it, roll back, do blue-green deployment. These are very, serious things in real life companies, in real life examples. And companies use these technologies on a daily basis. So I'm going to have videos about CDCI, basically continuous delivery, continuous deployment, continuous integration, and how you can integrate it with Elastic Beanstalk. Basically, you can write your code as soon as you commit it to your repository, it automatically can go to the production environment. We're going to have separate videos on those. So I hope you liked it. Please leave any comments below and subscribe to this channel, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.